Hello, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about names on the back of shirts in rugby union. England and Scotland are going to be doing that this autumn. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the pros, the cons, my reaction to it at first, and why ultimately I've actually changed my view, and I think it's a really, really good idea. Also, just to mention, yes, I know I've got a massive slug on top of my lip. I'm not actually doing Movember, which would be normal at this time of year. It's for Halloween fancy dress this weekend. So it's kind of my best Nick White impersonation. Is he the best rugby player with quite a tash at the moment, the Aussie scrum half? I don't know. You can let me know in the comments down below. If you are new here, then please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop a comment down below. What do you think about players having their names on the back of shirts? And what do you think about this filthy thing on top of my lip? All right, let's get into it. So as I said in the intro, when I first heard of this idea, it was a couple of months ago, I think back maybe towards the start of September, it got reported in quite a few of the newspapers in the UK that there was this idea for players' names to be on the back of their shirts at international level, and the reason for this was to grow the game. And at first I was against it just because I listened to that, I looked at that, and I felt, well, people aren't not watching rugby purely because players' names aren't on the back of their shirts. That's not going to fix anything. And I think I probably missed the point. I was probably being a little bit of a rugby snob as well, which I'll get onto in a minute. Because of course, this on its own, this small little change, isn't going to change anything drastically, but it is a significant change because overall it will improve things. And in particular, it's going to improve things for the more casual fans, essentially. So I've done a bit of a 180 in terms of my original opinion on this. Because if you think, particularly the casual fans, most of them will watch the international game. The international game has a far bigger reach than the domestic game. So having the names on the back of the shirts in international matches does make sense, because for those fans, they can identify the players a lot better. They can get to know them better. That's a really small change, but it's going to help. I think it always helps in a sport. If you know who the players are, you know who's good at what, who you've seen before, you begin to recognise them and you begin to just understand those players a lot better. That's always going to be a positive thing for people coming into the sport. Also, and this is quite a big point as well, it just makes it a little bit more inclusive, an easier game to understand, rather than it always having different player each week is playing but they've got the same number on their back. They'll continue to identify with that player because they get used to their name. And those that don't know too much, as I say, they can connect better with those players. I think that's going to be a good thing. One of the really big points though, and one of the main reasons actually that I think it's a good idea, which is someone I messaged today actually told me or said about this, was about growing the brands of the players, growing the profile of the players. This has been a discussion that's been going on in the game for a little while now. I remember Ellis Genge was on The Good, the Bad and the Rugby maybe a year or so ago with someone from Rock Nation who started representing a lot more rugby players, obviously coming over from America, where they understand that the athlete is so central to the sport. Rugby players are the most important commodity in the game. So if we can grow their profile, if we can make the players and more of the players' household names, then that's only going to help grow the sport. And whilst it's a really small change, having their name on their back of their shirt, that could help do that. That could help people know who the players are a lot more. It will help grow their profile, I think, and therefore that's going to be a good thing for the game as a whole. Are there any downsides to this? That's a question. Let me know in the comments down below if you think there are any negatives to this. I'll be honest, overall, I don't think that there particularly are. As I say, I think for casual fans, it'll massive help. I was also always probably looking at it from someone who I know most of the players when it comes to international level, apart from kind of guys that are in some squads for getting their first cap and things. Certainly domestically, when it comes to the English Premiership, I always know a really good chunk of the squad as well. So I was thinking of it in that way and saying, well, I don't really need this, but it's not for people almost that watch week in, week out. It's for people that are coming into the game, and I think it will help them identify those players, understand who the players are. As I said before, it just makes it a little bit more inclusive. Are there any downsides? Well, do let me know what you think. Overall, I don't think there are. Some people who are against the idea will make the argument that, particularly in rugby, no player is bigger than the shirt and you don't own that shirt. And I kind of get what they're meaning. I mean, it's a little bit of rugby not doing itself any favours of acting holier than thou, but the idea that no one owns the 10 jersey or no one owns the 15 jersey. Players will come into it each week depending on if they have been selected. I can understand those arguments, but personally I don't think this is going to lead to players owning that jersey. I think overall, as I say, the positives are there in terms of player identification and making it easier for people. I like the fact that you are the 15 for that game, as I say. What I don't want to see is it get to the point like it is in football, where all the players have different numbers. I really like the fact in rugby the 9 is the scrum half, the 10 is the fly half, because that also helps as well. So as long as we don't go that far, then overall I think it is a good thing. I quite like the change. And also we look at all the issues in the game in England at the moment, particularly we look at Worcester and Wasps, for example. Financial issues in the game. We talk about how can we grow the game. We look at the structure of it, different leagues and different divisions and all ideas like this. This is a really small change. As I said at the top of the video, it's not going to revolutionize things, but maybe it is changes like this. Maybe it is little tweaks here and there, which overall, when you add all of them up, they make a real difference. So I think this could be one, like a change of that sort of nature. But let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts on names on the back of shirts. Overall, are you in favour of it? Are you against it? Are there any downsides? As I say, I don't really think that there are particularly any, but maybe there's something I'm not thinking about. And keep an eye out for these autumn internationals. England and Scotland have confirmed that they will have names on the back of their shirts. Wales, I don't think are going to, but I'd imagine it's something that we will see moving forward happen more regularly. Maybe by the time we get to the Six Nations, everyone will, which will be quite interesting, particularly ahead of the World Cup next year. The final thing to mention on this point as well as there are a lot of reports that there is going to be a Drive to Survive Netflix-style documentary for rugby. Those discussions have been ongoing for a little while. Something possibly around the Six Nations as well, which could be absolutely huge. I know Drive to Survive has been a massive thing to help F1 grow. Certainly I've watched Drive to Survive. I never used to watch F1. Now I will stick it on. I'm not a big fan, but I understand the sport better and I will watch it more because I know those personalities. I know kind of a little bit better what's going on. So something like that for rugby could go a long way as well of helping those casual fans engage in the sport. Right, that's all from me. Please, if you're new here, like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the names on the back of shirts, and also let me know your thoughts on this horrific moustache, which will be going very soon after this weekend. All right, I'll see you in the next one.